It's an age-old question. Should religion play a role in politics? Well, according to Pew Research Center, Christianity and Islam are the two dominant religions in sub-Saharan Africa, together accounting for more than 93% of the population. And there is debate about whether religious leaders and institutions can use their influence to make politics better or worse. Well, joining me now is Reverend Useni Sibanda from the Zimbabwe Christian Alliance. He's been researching the role of religion in governance. Hello there, Reverend. A warm welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you so much.
Talking about politics and religion, your alliance stepped into the world of politics very publicly in 2016, for example, when your alliance called for President Robert Mugabe at the time to go. What is your alliance's position today on the state of the country's politics?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Haydé. I think the issue is not about should religion be in politics, but I think it's how or what should we be doing. And our position has always been to look at how do we as church engage with the state in order to improve the livelihoods of ordinary people, their living conditions. How do we improve and become a prophetic voice for the most of the poorest and most vulnerable in community and society? Just recently we were engaged in the 16 days of activism, where we were engaging with state and state institutions to say, you know, there should be no violence against women and stiffer penalties should be held. We should protect children. So that's how we look at our role, that we become a prophetic voice that speaks to those with authority to be able to serve the people better. So we still believe in that. And that's the reason why during Mugabe's regime, we had confrontations with this regime to constantly say, let's work on the living conditions of the poor people. Let's make sure that every Zimbabwean belongs to Zimbabwe and feels that they are secure and that the state secures their welfare.
Because obviously also, especially in Southern Africa, it is no secret that the church played a very active role in liberation movements and the struggle against apartheid and, of course, the freedom struggle in Zimbabwe itself. But Reverend, can that kind of involvement on the part of religious institutions go wrong in politics? Can it often be used to not just make politics better, but also to make it worse? And what are the kinds of signs where things are going wrong?
Yeah, well, if you remember, during the liberation struggle, the church had a guiding philosophy, which was liberation theology. So there are a lot of scholars during that time. We helped the church think through what is its role. You would remember there was the Kairos document in South Africa that guided the involvement of the church. So I think the first critical thing is that the church must look at its theology, must look at how does God want us to engage with the state? What is our interpretation of biblical text in terms of our role and what should we be doing? Paul talks about working for common good, and also we know that God is a God of justice and that God cares about the cries of the poor, the vulnerable, and the oppressed. So that becomes our guidance. And what could go wrong is that if the church personalizes things, if it becomes individuals and not the church as an institution, if it becomes about material things, if it becomes where we remove the agency of the human being, that the human being must do something, the people who are in that context should be able to do something, and we take everything to God. We're waiting for God to do something. So I think that could paralyze people. That could make people not to be active citizens, but to be always waiting for God, waiting for a prophet or something funny like that. So we need to bring that agency, that active involvement of the ordinary citizen within our text and within our encouragement of their work. And also the church must be careful that it is not partisan, that it is involved in politics, which means about the day-to-day issues affecting ordinary people and how they live, but that it should not get itself ingrained and attached to a particular political party. Because what happens then is, what do you do about the other people who might not believe in that political party? So I think our politics is a politics of hope. It's a politics that is looking at how do we uplift other people. It's a politics that speaks truth to power, but maintains a critical distance. All along the church, if you go to an ordinary theological college, the pastor thinks, I must just, bury, baptize, attend weddings and stuff like that. But can I go beyond and talk about service delivery, sewages that are not working, water that's not available, food that's not available? Can I talk about corruption? Can I talk about, lack of care or budgets that are not working properly? So
Reverend, I wish we could talk all day about this. Very, very fascinating. Thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us on the role of the church in politics. Reverend Sibanda, thank you very much. Reverend Useni Sibanda of the Zimbabwe Christian Alliance.